Good morning, princess.
Guten Tag, Daniel. Princess.
How's it going?
It's going okay. It's going all right. How are you?
Fantastic. Greetings from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I am good. I am very tan because I have finally returned from my vacation. And I have, my legs are now the size of very large tree trunks because I have biked so much.
Dang. So you've biked, you have been in the sun, you have been vacationing. Where did you go, Daniel?
I went to the Balearic Islands in the Mediterranean.
Nice.
I went to Mallorca.
Yep.
And yeah, spent a week there mostly biking and hanging out, and it was very nice.
Awesome.
And now I'm back at work, and I feel like I've got a bit more focus back, but a bit more energy, even though it's still a lot.
Yeah. So post-vacation spring in your step.
Pretty much. What about you?
Me? Oh, no, I'm good. We're coming into properly into sort of spring, summer here. Which I'm sure I've mentioned on a previous show, but yeah, Wellington has this really rubbish season in between an early spring and a later spring, and we seem to be in and out of that at the moment. But the good days are good, and yeah, my garden's growing. Obviously, we'll talk about the app dev and everything else, but yeah, all good in my location.
May your garden always grow.
Oh, it's quite
of,
zen.
Welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about gardening and the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts, Dave and Daniel, that's me, and let's hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. Join us while waiting for review.
Hey.
See? Intro done.
Smooth.
Vacation talk done. Fantastic. So now we can get into the meat of things. How do you like iOS 18?
Oof, straight into the meat of things. It essentially feels like iOS 17 with a couple more bugs for me, unfortunately.
Okay, well, what are the bugs?
I've had Spotlight completely fall over on me and put icons all over the place. Like it sort of feels like a constraint isn't working or something in the layout, right? And that gets a bit frustrating. That happens probably every other day at the moment. But yeah, other than that, I'm probably not a major fan of the Photos redesign, although I must say I'm kind of getting used to it. And I suspect in another month or so, the muscle memory will be there. And you know, I've seen a lot of people on social media kind of saying how awful the Photos app is, and I'm kind of trying to cut it just a little bit of slack because actually I feel like it's just muscle memory for me. Other than that, though, we don't have Apple Intelligence in New Zealand, so I don't have any of that. I do love being able to emoji react in messages.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like with any emoji, that's nice. But yeah,
my niece is also adding like individual like text effects to every single word she's sending.
Yes,
text messages.
Yeah, that's slick. Whoever's worked on the Messages app for that, hats off to you with that team. It's a nice experience. But yeah, I mean, other than all of those things, Daniel, I've not noticed much major difference. I'm not particularly fussed about setting all of my icons into something monotone or messing with that. Yeah, so it's just iOS 17 with a couple of extra bits.
Fair. Let me tell you what I like, though. I have fallen in love with the icons without text underneath them. Like the large icon mode. Like it feels very gimmicky, but after just half a day or so, like I'm so used to it because it feels so nice, because I have apps, like especially I have so many indie apps, and they feel even more present, and like they have these vibrant icons, and I just love that.
Nice.
And the other thing, the Photos app is for me, I'm okay with it. Like it's just different. It's not worse, and I feel like I just got super quickly. I got used to it. So
Yeah.
what I love really are these all these places where you can customize stuff. Like I expected to hate that, but all these like the tiny little like software buttons on the lock screen, the control center, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I replaced the camera button on the lock screen with a set a new entry in things button because like I do that action about 17 billion times a day, and it's just nice. That is
That's
bloody
cool.
lovely.
Bloody lovely, mate. uh, no, that's cool, and I think it's probably fair to say I'm not exploring that end of stuff too deeply. So yeah, there's probably a whole treasure trove of little bits that I could do. Like
To be fair,
I've had,
I would have completely missed all that because I don't know, like I don't go spelunking in those areas. But I did read Federico Vitici's iOS 18 review, and that just like kind of pointed me at it. Like because Federico is the goat of
indeed.
of like just iOS reviews, productivity on iOS, that kind of stuff.
I'm just switching it on now. I've just switched on my large icon mode, and I'm playing just slightly with the tinting. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I can see why you like that. I think I might take the tinting off for now.
I don't do the tinting. That feels kind of wrong to me. I don't know. Because if you feel like for me, like I recognize the icons a lot by colors and shapes and stuff. And if the icons change, if my phone goes into dark mode, which it does in the evening, that wouldn't feel right, I think.
No, fair. And I use my phone. So I've got my phone just on the side here. But I tend to launch things by just typing in Spotlight more than I look. And then my icons on my home screen, I've only got a few. Right. So actually, yeah, same as you though. It's by the look of the icon for everything off of that. So large icon mode is it's decent. Sweet, you've taught me something I'd missed. So
a feature that I really miss is because we're in the European Union. Like we don't get Apple Intelligence, but that's 18.1 anyway, or like the first inklings of Apple Intelligence. But somehow iPhone mirroring to the Mac is also disabled. Like I have an app on my Mac. I updated the Mac to Sequoia, and I have an app on my Mac that is called iPhone mirroring. And when I launched the app, it says unable to connect to iPhone. iPhone mirroring is not available in your country or region.
That stinks.
Which, what?
Yeah, and there's no good reason for that, right? That's
just a side thing. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. It's a bit of a bummer, but
You've mentioned it though, Daniel. I do love that feature. I do get that in New Zealand. They've done it really well. So when you do eventually get it, what you can look forwards to having there is, it integrates all of your notifications if you want to with your Mac notifications.
Oh, that is neat.
Yeah, and then if you go to click one of them and it's routed only available to link through to an iPhone app, because if you've got apps that overlap, then it will launch the Mac version, I believe. But otherwise, if it's going to the iPhone, then it brings up the iPhone mirroring app, pulls you straight into it.
Okay, now I'm mad that I'm missing out.
But yeah, no, it's cool, but it's also potentially distracting, right? Because I've then got things like social media apps and stuff that are only on my phone and now kind of routing through my Mac. But that's cool. So anyway, I'll try not to rub it in too much because it's really
rub it all into me. Like I'm into that,
dude. But yeah. Anyway, speaking of iOS 18 and such like, I believe you have a new device.
What did you get? Yeah, I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max
Oof.
in desert titanium,
Yep.
but it's in a case, so you can't really see the color.
I thought you were Mr. Caseless. I thought you were like, oh, I like the feel in my hand.
I was, and I do like the feeling in my hand, but like I seem to be in a mode now where my phones need to last for a while. I used to be like a every year or every other year new phone guy, right? But now like I've been like 4 years with the same phone, and now kind of that was on its last legs, so I kind of wanted a new one. And also this is a company phone. So it kind of needs to last. That's the one reason. And the other reason is I always have this kind of case by this company called Quadlock.
Okay, yeah.
Not a sponsor, but Quadlock, call us.
Yes.
To attach the phone to my bike. And so that is because like it has like this secure mount point, and you can just like, but now with this phone generation, Quadlock has a case that has T-charging pass-through, because the previous cases, they had this very weird stump growing out of the middle of the case, and like the phone wouldn't sit flat on a surface, and also like no like T-charging just wouldn't get through, whereas this thing is flat. It's actually like kind of like almost flat even with the camera mesa. So that's kind of nice. And also it is T-charging compatible, so I can just like throw it on most T-chargers, and definitely MagSafe chargers.
MagSafe is
magnetically
useful.
stick, and it will also charge. And so that is a big reason to not like take off the case. But at the same time, the other thing is I love the color. I love the color of my previous phone, which was dark blue.
Yep.
Whereas I'm pretty meh about the color. Like I chose desert titanium because it is the only new color. So I kind of wanted to have the new thing.
Fair.
But still, it is not the most exciting or cool color. And so I don't mind too much about having like a case around it. But at the same time, like I do take off the case occasionally, and it feels very nice.
I have a new case for a phone of mine here, and I'm sorry to listeners, if you're on the YouTube, you'll be able to see it, but maybe Daniel will do an audio descriptive. But you see what's going on here?
Oh, this is lovely. So this looks like a clear plastic case, but it seems to have some kind of coating that makes it completely reflective. So it's like a mirror, but at the same time, I can see myself in it even. At the same time, it's applying some kind of holographic rainbow effect to everything.
Yeah. But now look at that camera bump on the back. It's flat. But look at the camera configuration. Do you recognize it?
Oh, this is not an iPhone.
Yes.
Looks like it has that like what's it called? The MagSafe ring and stick, but it has a horizontal camera bump, so it must be
it's a pixel.
Maybe I don't know. I wouldn't even
it's a pixel, Daniel.
It's a pixel. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
The case is very useful, although I must say it's a
for like looking at yourself.
Well, yeah, you can use it that way. It's dual purpose. But no, being able to MagSafe it is useful because I've got a MagSafe stand on my desk here, and when I'm playing with that device as a dev device, I will routinely end up trying to bop it onto the magnet. And before I had the case, it would just slide off because obviously it's a pixel. It doesn't have MagSafe.
Oh, so only the case has the MagSafe. So it's not about charging.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So it's got the wireless charging, but it doesn't have the MagSafe.
But the magnets are only the case.
Yeah.
Well, you could just like mirror it to your desktop.
I probably could actually.
Can't.
I probably could with the Android. But I'm still exploring Android around iOS for dev stuff. But
what's a killer feature that you kind of discovered and that you don't miss on iPhones, if any?
Ooh, to be honest, just the configurability, being able to I could change the app launcher by installing an app launcher and then configure that to whatever I wanted. That was quite nice. Yeah, beyond that, I don't know. Everything's much of a muchness, right? There's an equivalent for this, an equivalent for that. Social media apps are the same. I'm using Proton, so I've got my email client is the same, etc., etc., and that's on purpose. Yeah, but there's not a lot I miss when I'm on the other side of the fence. But what is interesting is that, like, I don't miss too much from Android when I go back to my iPhone, but also when I'm on the Android device, I'm missing less and less from my iPhone the more I use it.
All right. Yeah,
So
as more and more apps get cross-platform, I get that.
yeah, and as I find more and more equivalents for things as well. One thing I definitely miss from the iOS side of the fence is that the built-in, I actually quite like the built-in camera app on iOS for everything that it does. And somehow the one I've got on the Pixel feels a bit clunky in comparison. Can't really put my finger on it, but and again, it could be muscle memory as much as anything else.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a capable device. My iPhone takes nicer pictures though, so that's interesting. That's certainly not replacing that, but yeah. Anyway, I didn't necessarily want to go down the talking all about Android route for this call, Daniel.
All right. Do you want a quick review of the 16 Pro Max?
Yes, get back into it.
All right. So my previous phone was a 12. So so it is quite a big leap. Like, so I'm not only getting the new features of the 16, but I'm also getting the new features of the 15, 14, and 13, right?
Yep.
And so camera-wise, it is a huge improvement. Like, I love the difference in images that I'm taking or in pictures that I'm taking is just huge. I love the 5x zoom, which is just super helpful in either just taking pictures of things that are way further away, or like taking pictures that have almost no perspective distortion, as in like I'm trying out with stuff like where stuff like almost looks like an isometric video game, just because like you're catching it from so far away, and that's like just really fun. It has these the photographic styles, which my previous phone also didn't have. And so I just set it to always use the natural style, because that looks just like really nice. It looks color-wise, that the natural style looks exactly like the iPhone 6 used to look like, and like, at least in my opinion. And that just looks really nice. It kind of disables a bit of the post-processing that iPhones usually do these days.
Nice.
So that's really cool. The photo, like the camera button, is it is useful. Like, okay, it is useful, but everyone else also already said this. Like, it is very finicky, and it is very finicky. Like, on the one hand, because I'm already holding the phone with my hand, so like I can't, like, I don't have a lot of dexterity left in that hand without like threatening to like drop the phone, which I would not want to do. And at the same time, it is like, it says to half press it, and then you can kind of slide around it, but I don't know. Like, I haven't really grokked it, and it feels like a lot of other people have also not fully gotten into it, but that might be changed. Like, that seems like something that's very changeable in software. Yeah. So let's see how it goes. Like, I expect Apple to experiment here a little bit, so that's fine. Other than that, there's an always on display, which is really, really cool.
Yes.
At the same time, sometimes it's not on, and I'm still like figuring out like when it is always on and when it's not always on.
Okay.
Like, so right now, actually, like the phone on my desk is completely off, but that is because I put it into battery saver mode, so that makes sense.
That would make sense, yeah.
And
but
I think like today,
I think if you're in do not disturb, it might put itself off.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Maybe that's the case. Either way, like the tech for it is really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
the dynamic island, I expected it to not matter at all. Like I expected to not really see the dynamic island or care about it. But it turns out because Apple is putting so much like contextual information into that part of the display, like they put in the song you're apparently playing, the app that is like running in the background when your AirPods are connecting, and how much charge they have, and all kinds of stuff. And then the like Face ID pops up out of there, kind of, and it is an absolute delight. And I didn't really realize that it would be such a difference, but I really love it.
That's quite funny. It's quite funny that you should mention that, actually, because that is something I do notice when switching over to playing with the Pixel, is some of the absence of that. And it's one of those like really hard to put your finger on it sort of things, because functionally everything is
like the camera
there.
button. It's also really hard to put your finger on.
Yes. And I think we've got a show title there, but but yeah, it's this sort of thing that Apple does do very well and is still doing very well, is those sort of bits of gloss, that bit of integration, that then it's an additive experience, right? You don't need it, but you miss it when it's not there, I guess.
But it's just delightful, although delight is not available in the European Union.
I'm sorry. I'll send you a screen recording of the iPhone mirroring, just so you can see what it's going to look like.
Speaking of the dynamic island, though, Face ID is about 3 to 4 times faster. Like it is so fast now that you usually don't even notice it happening, and that's like right. Really nice.
Yeah, some of what you've described is what I noticed with my 14 Pro when I upgraded from the base 12 model to that, and I remember that upgrade experience feeling very similar, actually. So dynamic island speed of Face ID was definitely a jump there. But
yeah, last thing I think. Oh yeah, no, 2 last things. Action button. Because I have the camera button, I can't really seem to find a good use for it yet.
Okay.
I have it set to the flashlight right now, and that is okay because I reasonably often use my flashlight. And I might set it to the enter a new to-do in things.
I was about to say, instead. Yeah, that.
But at the same time, like it feels a bit superfluous now that I have the because otherwise I would totally set it to camera. So let's see. Like if I find a new if I find a good use for it, then it'll get more useful. But maybe I'll need to listen to more VTG for that.
Well, I imagine you could probably assign it to a shortcut or something, right? So you could probably customize.
I could, but what? Yeah. And then if I were a man from Rome who's way too much into iPads, I would say, oh yeah, the shortcut does different things depending on time of day and or location. But that seems way too much of a hassle. Yeah,
I said so. Until you can ask ChatGPT or something to build the shortcut for you, and it actually gives you a decent shortcut.
Like someone tells me that they had like basically Siri on the power button, right? If you long press Siri, and then the ChatGPT app on the action button. But I don't use ChatGPT on the phone at all.
No.
So I don't see that happening right now. But let's see. Other than that, last thing, the display again. The display is like even brighter than the 12, and it has 120 hertz. And that means that every animation and every like scrolling movement is so incredibly buttery smooth. And like, it feels so nice. Like I can't even put it into words. This has destroyed me for any other screen. Nice. It is gorgeous. It just gives me joy.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want in an upgrade, right? So no, that's lovely to hear.
I think at the same time, like I am starting to gain like a certain awareness of like consuming or buying these devices is having a cost. Like on the environment, there's like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, the rare earths from different African countries that are that gonna kind of mined in very like inhumane conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, it's a good idea to not maybe not buy a new phone every year, but at the same
Yep.
time, like like spacing these out further and like only like upgrading for like every few years, maybe like that makes it even nicer. Like that, it makes the, especially since iPhones have changed less over the years. Like you get like a whole bunch of incremental updates, and so that makes it a substantial upgrade again. And so that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's lovely. And I mean, that was the whole reason why I used to upgrade every year at one point, was because of that, right? You upgrade and you get some big jump in things, whether it was, going from the, remember the um, first Retina screen? That was a good jump. Going from the 4S size to the 5, the first sort of
Oh, the
elongating of the
5 was
screen.
so nice.
Yeah, the 5 was good. I remember the 6 being a bit like, I appreciate the bigger screen, but it feels like a bar of soap in my hands. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
kind
I
of,
dropped the 6 multiple times.
yeah. But anyway, I don't need to tell you or anybody on this show about all of the relative bumps between versions, but that feeling dropped off somewhere between the 10R and the 12 for me. And going from the 12 to the 14 was a good upgrade. I this year had the option to sort of go, well, okay, do I want to upgrade to the 16 Pro or not? And I've got a 14 Pro. It's definitely no slouch. It's still a very lovely device. Uh, and I compared the specs on GSM Arena, had a bit of a look through. Obviously, the camera will be a good bump. And then I realized I was probably only going to buy it for the camera. Um, because all the other things would be like, yeah, they're nice, but I don't need them.
Yeah,
The
like
camera would have been
especially
a
like
driver.
CPU speeds or whatever. Like this thing
Yep.
is probably twice as fast as my previous one, but I can't really like feel a difference in that
Yeah,
regard.
we're reaching a stage where that doesn't matter, right? In terms of, I guess, beyond the video app that I make, nothing else I run on my phone really pushes the hardware that much these days. So this is a long way of me saying I decided not to upgrade and to actually buy a video camera instead.
Ooh, you bought a camcorder.
It's not a camcorder, no. What? So okay, bear with me. What happened? I went looking at video cameras, at camcorders, everything out there, and there's a reason I would like this, right? I've started to take small kind of vlog style videos recently. If anybody has me on Instagram, you'll see me standing in the river that's nearby to me here, in my Wellington gumboots. And I'll say a little thing. I'll do a little Monday morning hello to people or whatever that is. Um, and it's starting to tie into the brand and into the sort of audience building that I'm doing on Instagram, and I guess a little bit on TikTok as well. I'm tending to double post stuff. Um, and I thought, well, okay, camera wise, what is it I'm actually using the camera for? And I'm not really taking really involved portrait photos or anything like that, or up close up shots or anything. Like, again, the camera on my 14 Pro is doing a very good job at all of those things for me. So I've bought the DJI Osmo 3, which is a gimbal based video camera. Camcorders do exist, but they tend to be old tech and outdated modelings, and they're kind of made for boomers.
That
To
was
be
what I
honest,
was implying. I was teasing. I'm
I
sorry.
know. I honestly, if I would have bought one in that form factor, if it looked like it was going to do a really good job,
But the
and that,
gimbaling is really cool. Like,
yeah, yeah.
does it do like
So
stabilization and stuff like that?
all the time, yeah, it tries to keep everything sort of stable. There's various different things you can do. You can tell it to do like an automated rotation around the pivot point to get different effects. You can tell it to follow a subject as you're walking along, and it will do its best to kind of keep that person that's moving in the shot. And then, yeah, for selfie mode kind of vlog style, it does this active camera thing that's really nice. So it
Wait,
follows
it
me.
can follow a person.
Mm-hmm.
Can you like put it down somewhere and then like do you know that show, The Pink Panther?
No. Do you mean the
Ah,
cartoon?
yeah.
Okay, go on.
So like it has this intro, right, where someone like something sometimes the panther themselves and sometimes like a person is kind of like sneaking up on people and
Yeah.
like they're like just they're walking across screen like
Okay.
you
Yeah.
should do that.
Okay. I probably could. I could probably get it to follow me around. But yeah, no, it's slotted very well into what I'm doing. I'm shooting little videos for my video mixing, so that's good. I'm using it for my vlog posts. I'm actually using it right now, Daniel, for this call. It works as a webcam
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, anybody watching can
Oh,
see it's following
you're
me
moving
around.
around and it's following you even better than an iPhone could.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to tie into some other stuff. So I guess I'm desperately trying to segue into another section here, Daniel. But one of the things I'm up to at the moment is actually looking at how I use video, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere else, to build my audience for
Hmm.
my VJ app. It's been this. You've seen this with me with previous discussions, right? A year
Right.
ago, 2 years ago, I was like not on any big social media. And then around about a year ago, I went back to Instagram and Facebook for promoting my app. And gradually I found that, of course, there are people doing the sort of video mixing that my app supports on that social media because, of course, they are. You can publish your
Hmm.
videos there. And yeah, gradually I'm kind of becoming more and more a part of that world. So yeah, the new camera sort of ties into that in that it's going to be really, really good for me recording things like tutorials in this office room that I've got here, because I can have it set up as it is now. But actually, anybody watching on the show probably can't see this. But if I let me zoom out. So to the side of me over here, I have a whole setup that is it is like a DJ desk almost, where I've got rooms set up, all of my controllers, iPads, everything else. But the camera can follow me around the room, and then I can share what I'm doing with my app on whatever device, because I can link that device through to my Mac, and then I can use that as a feed straight in. Because if you connect your iPhone or your iPad, you can actually record the screen of that as if it was a camera. So
You'll have to
that
find a
can be
solution
used.
though that your mic will also follow you around because that was
Yeah,
kind of
this
hard to
I was going to
understand.
say. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I've just realised I wasn't with my mic. Yeah, that's something I've got to sort, but we'll see. I've got a couple of ideas for that. So yeah, apologies. I probably went very, very quiet there. We'll see if I can
Were you
boost
hunting
it.
rabbits?
Was I hunting rabbits? Why are you turning me into a cartoon, Daniel? Pink Panther hunting.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm feeling silly.
Fair, fair. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see how this all goes. It feels a bit weird. Like if you'd asked me 2 or 3 years ago, Dave, do you want to get on a video camera and record lots of stuff on the internet? I would have said to you, no, like I'm quite happy doing the podcast just with audio. And now these days I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It's quite nice to get on camera and record this. And I hope people, who are listening via the YouTubes, I'm just going to zoom back in on myself there on the camera. But it's the only thing I can't remote control it. But anyway, yes, it's a thing that I'm now starting to just enjoy as a thing that I can do. And
Nice.
Yeah, it's working well.
And are you like seeing are you getting used to it? Like, is it getting less awkward, or like, are you like discovering new personality traits or new tricks or something like that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to not think about it too hard. Okay, so I definitely watch back what I record when I post these little vlog segments to Instagram and TikTok. I'll watch them back, and I'll watch them back before I post. But I don't care if I'm umming or ahhing or any of those things. Like, as long as the message is about right and it feels natural and normal, then I'll post it, which means, almost every single time I don't re-record. It's one and done. I just, gun and run,
Fair.
as it were. And there's a reason for me doing that, and it's about trying to build up the muscle itself and to just sort of go, well, okay, if you overthink it, then it becomes a prohibitive thing. For me, it'll become a prohibitive thing to do. If I've got to edit it and spend 2 or 3 hours getting it perfect, instead of just recording it, going, yeah, that's about good enough, posting it, right? The latter means that I will do it more regularly, will mean that I build up the practice. The former will mean that I get stuck in editing and decision paralysis, and it will become something I hate doing. So it's kind of the approach I'm trying to take.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to do that. Ooh, it's hard. It's hard though. Like I still find myself like putting out content, but I will overthink it and then spend half a day like editing a video. and then TikTok will take it down for a community guidelines violation because I was making a video about how to upgrade, like how to like transfer your data from one phone to the other. And it like somehow identified transfer. I assume like it flagged the video for financial fraud. So I assume it flagged the keyword transfer as transferring money, which, fun fact, you cannot transfer money from like between your own iPhones. That's not how money works, I think.
No, not at all. That's funny. I was wondering if you made a reference to killing something or whatever, and you got flagged for.
I did not. I was also fully clothed. And I did not say any bad words except Apple.
Right. Well, that's odd. That's something else as well, though, right? And I've had on Instagram a couple of warnings as I log in telling me, oh, we think you've got automated activity on your account. I'm like, okay, I wonder what that is. And I think it's because I connected a WordPress plugin to Instagram called Blog to Social. So I've disabled that, changed my password, logged everything in and out. It's very interesting to experience that pang of like, oh my God, I could lose my account and everything I've been building up here for the last however long. Yeah. So watch this space, but I need to explore not just Instagram. I'm trying to think of like, well, okay, if all my eggs are in one basket, as it were. Then,
have you tried Ben McCarthy's new app, Croissant? Croissant?
No, what's it do?
I have. It is an app. You launch it, and it is just a text field, and you can basically compose let's say a tweet, and it will post it to Mastodon, Blue Sky, and Threads.
Okay,
that's cool. It costs money, but it is, for me at least, it's money well spent. Because I hooked it up with my personal Mastodon account, and with my and then I realized I didn't actually have a personal Threads account.
Yep.
So I created one. In my bio, I put in Junior Druid Wrangler for the telemetry deck. And now I don't know, like I can kind of more better compare the platforms. And it turns out that some of our community are more there and some of our community are more there. And now I can at least like post to these, and then like you get the replies and likes and whatever as notifications, so you can still like see them and like, interact with people.
Yep.
But yeah, and also like they made an incredibly cool social media campaign where they kind of were like, I don't know, like posting pictures of like actual croissants on actual iPhones.
That's
and,
brilliant.
Like,
I need to give that a good look. So yeah, that Ben McCarthy, they're the developer of Obscura as well. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've followed Ben for many years on various social media platforms, and they're definitely a very good.
I'm putting a link to the app in the show notes.
Yeah, I was going to say they're definitely a very good indie developer, and I look forward to checking that app out.
And I'm doing that, by the way, even without even like I don't know if Croissant is actually using telemetry deck. I assume maybe not because no one told me. But I would very much like them to use telemetry deck.
Well, Daniel, it's been lovely talking to you.
Mm-hmm. It has.
I think I may well be wrapping the show, unless there's anything else that you want to dive into for a few minutes.
Yeah, actually, let me tell you, like, let me take 5 minutes and complain about myself, because
go on, one more
even
thing.
Before my vacay, but now I was super stressed because there's a part of the work that I'm doing that is just not progressing really, which is there are like we moved servers, right? But a few things are still on the old servers and on Azure, and now we're on AWS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like back then, when we moved servers, I was like, okay, I'm gonna move those the right way and do everything, like create the new system completely automated. Like I'm gonna use CloudFormation to create these containers, and then I'm gonna use
Ansible,
basically layers and layers of abstraction to build all of that.
Yeah.
And I think in doing that, and that is kind of what I realized in the last week, I kind of started with too much abstraction. Like I over optimized, which is the root of all evil, right? And so I've realized that, oh yeah, I'm trying to do too much at once. So instead, I'm just going to use the normal method of just hosting these things, making them work, and then I can build abstraction and automation on top of that as the need arises.
Right.
And that's actually all I wanted to like. It has caused me a lot of frustration, and also because like there's just so much to do, and I'm like, I want to get progress forward, and that is frustrating because I kind of didn't make any progress for a while. But at the same time, it's good to like remember that that this is one of my values, like do the least possible amount of complication. And I think in that specific case, I kind of did too much complication at once.
It's a very easy trap to fall into because with every layer of complication, there's also that promise of automation, of making your life easier for you, right. Or you sort of feels like, okay, this is going to get the job done well. And it's only then when you come back to it in any way that you're like, oh, what? This was too much. Do you know? It sort of feels like it's good in the moment, and then it's in review.
I want to do this in the professional way.
Yeah.
But if I can't do everything the same way that a Fortune 500 company does, because I, as a person, am in fact not a Fortune 500 company.
No, and you shouldn't try and do things in that way. Do you know what I mean? Like until you're at that scale, it's Yeah, but it's hard because especially if you've had working experience in those worlds as well, it then does feel when you're doing your own stuff, if you're not doing those things, there's a bit of me that kicks in that goes, I'm doing it wrong, because
Yeah.
you've kind of, if your working experience has been in more of those environments, then yes, when you're doing this as an indie and you realize, I don't actually have time to spend all day doing that in that way. Yeah, for me, that can certainly feel like I'm doing it wrong. We've talked about this a lot, but test automation, that sort of thing, right? It's a thing that I'm kind of glossing over with a lot of my apps. I do have a test suite in my video mixing app.
Sweet.
And it does a nice little job. And I was going to have it automated, and I've got a Mac Mini that's running as a home server, and it would run every time, a PR is raised.
Every time someone says I have a Mac Mini as a home server, I think of the phrase load-bearing Mac Mini. And I mean, Telemetry Deck also has a load-bearing Mac Mini. It is, but
yeah,
I love it. It's so cool.
But the thing is, I've still not automated the connection through to Forjo, which is the GitHub clone that I'm using.
Is that how you pronounce that?
I've no idea. It's spelled Forge, Forge, and then Jo. So I imagine like
maybe it's Forjo.
Yeah, or Forgio. Yeah,
or German.
Like
Forgejo.
Yeah.
Genau.
But anyway, I think I've got to wrap, Daniel. I'm afraid I've got to run. But
that was my tiny rant.
Your tiny rant. Don't over optimize.
Don't over optimize, kids. Over optimization is bad. All right.
Yes.
So everyone, thanks so much for listening. Please rate us on iTunes, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, also subscribe. Don't click the bell. Like don't do that there, kids. That's just uncool. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com and join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. All right, Dave, where can people find and follow and like you?
Well, given that I've spoken about it throughout the show, I'm going to reference Instagram again. So on Instagram, I am lightbeamapps.com. If you're particularly nosy, you could check out feed.lightbeamapps.com, where you will see my equivalent of a link tree, which has all my important links. Because again, links in bioculture has now got me. I've got my own page that's got all of my links. So go have a look. But yeah, anyway, that's me. Where can people find you, Daniel?
People can find me everywhere. For example, on Threads as Winsmith, because that used to be my Instagram username. And on Blue Sky at Break the System with a dash between the TH and the E because it's broken. And I think I'm squatting my own old username with a login that I no longer have. Yeah. Also, Mastodon, Daniel at social.telemetrydeck.com. That's the most canonical value still. But yeah.
Canonical Daniel.
Canonical Daniel. All right, Dave.
Awesome.
See you soon. See you hopefully sooner than our last pause between recording.
Well, no more holidays. Actually, I have a holiday coming up, but that won't affect the next show. It'll be the one after.
All right, cool.
But anyway, we'll see.
Right, and next time on the show, we will talk about the new Kiwi Formula One driver. Mm-hmm. That is, of course, very relevant to you. But until then, have a great day.
Catch you later, Daniel.
Bye.